Sweeney. Dwayne Sweeney. Sweeney's over.
Can you please hand it over to your captain, Dwayne Sweeney?
Hello and welcome to Real Tales with Sweens. On this episode, I talk with Sam Kane. Sam is a professional rugby player who has represented Bay of Plenty at provincial level, played over 100 games for the Chiefs in Super Rugby, played 68 tests for the All Blacks, and was recently appointed as the new All Black captain. Sam is a good friend of mine and someone I've been lucky enough to have played with during my career. He is also someone I have a huge amount of respect for both as a rugby player and as a person. In this episode, we get to know a little more about Sam Kane the person, as well as Sam Kane the All Black. We cover some interesting topics such as All Black Captaincy speeches, his dad's world famous red stags, how his mum's deer velvet capsules arguably saved his career after breaking his neck. We also talk about catching Marlin with New Zealand fishing personality Matt Watson, Sam's views on playing professionally in New Zealand versus playing overseas, and we also discuss Beauden Barrett's move offshore. Make sure you check out the Real Tales with Sweens Instagram page and website for the show notes. And I do apologise a little bit for the sound quality in a few parts. Me and Sam actually made the joke about how nervous we were to sit down and have a chat considering we're such good mates. And lastly, I'd just like to say a massive thank you to Sam for coming on and sharing his tale, as I know how extremely valuable his time is. I hope you all enjoy the podcast. G'day mate, how are we?
Yeah, good, thanks, Sweens. Nice to be here in this little setup, sitting on the Waikato couch that you got for your 100th.
I wondered if you were going to actually mention that. Might have to get a photo of you on it. I suppose I'll sort of kick it off a little bit, just to how we first met. So I was fortunate enough to be involved in the Chiefs when you first came on the scene. I remember I sort of tell this story to a few different people. I remember where Dave Galbraith, who probably wasn't long in his role with the Chiefs. He's our what's his official role?
He was sort of mental skills, I suppose.
Mental skills. And I remember he'd come in and he was real big on goal setting at the time, and it was all about, I guess, striving to be better, and our goals had to be almost unreachable rather than just being an All Black. It was things like being the greatest player in the world. And at that point in time, Sam Kane was the world under-21 player or under-20 player of the year.
I got nominated for the...
Nominated for it?
Yeah, there's only three of us, I think.
Yeah.
Who got it? Might have been George Ford. You know, he
plays
in the first five now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you actually won that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think it was a bit of a joke, and you know, as it is with the rugby boys and a bit of banter, that what does Sam have as his goal, because he's already the best player in the world, was sort of a joke that sort of floated around. But yeah, it was awesome to be there with you, Sam, when you first came in, and I guess I saw a lot of, what people see now in terms of leadership, even at that young age. I think you might have been 20, but the things that really stood out for me is just how well you fitted into the group. I guess your relatability to all different players, and that's, as a leader, that's something that's super important. So I think I could see that from even as a 20-year-old that you're going to have a good future in leadership. Just, do you have any sort of memories of that first year?
Yeah, it was crazy times. I mean, it was the first year of the Chiefs under-18s side. Oh, yeah. So we're in our last year of school. Everyone within the Chiefs region was fighting hard to make this Chiefs under-18 side, and we got to play Blues under-18s. We beat them and then played off against the Hurricanes in the final, and they just pipped us. We were led by TJ on our side. Yeah. They had a stacked team. Now they look back at it. But so that was the first time I got to pull on a Chiefs jersey. And for me, as a young fella growing up in this region, you know, like we used to come over and watch Chiefs games when we could. And so I just grew up supporting the team. So even though it was an age grade side, I was so proud to pull on that jersey. And then from there, because Fozzie was the coach at the time, he of the big boys. I think there was three of us from that Chiefs under-18 side that he sort of liked the look of and wanted to get us in. for a bit of pre-season and sort of try and contract us for further down the point. And so I was one of them. My mate Carl Axtons was another, and the other one was our left wing, Charles Peartow.
Oh.
Yeah, so they couldn't budge Charles out of Auckland, or out of counties, and he ended up signing with Auckland and going to play for the Blues and All Blacks, obviously.
Yeah.
Pretty successful career overseas, but
he's one of the highest paid players in the world now. Isn't he?
He's doing all right, which is awesome for him. Like knowing he's from such a big family, and he's very family orientated, and to be able to take care of his family, I think full credit to him. Good on him. Yeah. Although we would have loved to have seen a bit more of him back here.
Yeah, definitely.
So we came in. I think it was the end of our school year for like pre-season.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but maybe I was just so naive. I didn't really realise what time of year or how the rugby calendar worked at Super Rugby. And I just remember, man, this is hard. Like the trainings. We used to think we were sort of hillbilly in the way we train. We'd go for a run and run our guts out and throw some weights around, but didn't really know what we were doing. Carl and I back in Riparaw. So when we came in and we're doing sort of 2 or 3 really tough sessions a week, we were bunked up with Ella de Belmonte.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw him at a cafe the other day. It was good to run into him.
Yeah. He's lost heaps of weight, eh?
Yeah.
He's just surfing hard out. Not lifting any weights
I
anymore.
know, hard to believe someone who loved his weight so much.
Yeah.
Just a face going out of it.
Yeah.
I remember how tough that was, and I think you also remember when you come in at that age too, like the guys who are good to you, like who sort of go out of their way, and you're obviously one of those, mate.
Oh, yes.
And another one was actually Jared Hoyata, who was in helping us, or not helping us, but he's looking to move into coaching, and he was learning off Barnsley this week at Chiefs training. So a few other guys, but really fond memories, I suppose, of just coming in, and the whole attitude was just put your head down and work hard. And
you touched on Riparawa, but I want to talk about that a little bit, and I guess what your family does there. Can you just fill us in on that?
Yeah, so some people know, but Riparawa is just right in between Rotorua and Taupo. Predominantly dairy farming area, pretty much. So it takes us about half an hour to get to Rotorua, half an hour to Taupo. So it's pretty central. We're actually just on the border of Bay of Plenty.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Just in?
Yeah, just in. But mum and dad, although it's dairy, predominantly mum and dad are deer farmers. So,
nice.
And they're both from Riparawa as well. So,
wicked.
Yeah, so they met at Riparawa High School.
Yeah.
Sort of childhood sweethearts. And, Dad, they're both off dairy farms actually as growing up. But Dad, I think, worked out pretty early. He wasn't that keen on, I suppose, the lifestyle that dairy is, and unforgivable. You have to turn up for milk and at certain hours. It's pretty structured. So he sort of fell in love with deer and deer farming, and it was sort of just when it was coming into New Zealand. They were catching them in the bush and bring them in, and so he brought a bit of land, and sort of for the last at least 30 years now, probably. Yeah, him and Mum have been deer farming, and he's slowly been. Because of the time he came in, it was sort of new. He sort of made all the mistakes along the way, but it's I think of Dad, his 2 passions are deer farming and rugby.
Nice. Cool. Oh, we'll get back to the deer farming, but you touched on obviously being only 30 minutes from Rotorua. Your decision to go to Tauranga Boys High over Rotorua Boys High is, for the listeners out there that don't know New Zealand rugby, I suppose, especially at the time Sam was at school, Rotorua Boys High has been and is a very successful first 15 program, and has been for a long time. Guys like Liam Messam, come out of there. Why was that decision to go to Tauranga?
Yeah, it was a really tough decision actually. Well, for a couple of years, it was I suppose first started getting a little bit of attention from other schools was after our Bay of Plenty under 16s here. So we won the Northern Region competition. We had a lot of good young players on our side, and that's when sort of other schools first started to come knocking. A few Auckland.
Were you at Riparawa?
Yeah, still at Riparawa. I was only 5th form, I think, Yeah. So a few Auckland schools, and we went up and had a look, but it's sort of, we just knew it wasn't really
Yeah.
for
And
me.
you were a bit of a team at that time, eh? You and Carl?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, so we said we'll start at Ripperol another year. So that by the end of our sixth form year, same thing, we're getting a little bit of, not pressure, but offers, and you've got to look into them. They're seen as opportunities, so you've got to have a look. And in the end, it came down a bit of pressure from Bay of Plenty that for us to progress further, we needed a little bit more hands-on coaching because Repro is quite isolated.
Yeah.
We weren't getting any sort of access to trainers to help with our German strength work. All the training was sort of off our own back, sort of trial and error a wee bit. And so a little bit of pressure around that and just get some more hands-on coaching rather than just Tuesday, Thursday trainings with the first 15. So in the end, the decision ended up probably being between Hamilton boys, girls, and and Tauranga boys. The reason for not going to Rotorua, and like I know that Rotorua boys is a good school, but at the time they sort of had a bit of a bad reputation of going to the Pacific Islands and bringing back sort of 5 or 6 players every year. And it was so close to home at the time. We'd sort of not outgrown Ripperoi, but we sort of needed a new challenge.
Yep.
In the sense that we'd been playing in the first 15 at Ripperoi since we were fourth form, so it was we played 3 years in a row now.
Yeah.
We're just a little bit comfortable, I suppose. Just you need to grow and push yourself. So even going to Rotorua was only 30 minutes from home. We'd still be living at home.
Yep.
And we were. We just turned 17, but it was a chance to, I suppose, challenge ourselves a wee bit. And in the end, it was a tough decision between Hamilton and Tauranga, but in the end, it came down to wanting to stick with Bay of Plenty because that's where we're from and proud to represent. Hopefully, go on to represent that province one day. So we went to Tauranga boys, and a lot of people don't know this, but they're one of the only Super 8 teams that don't have a hostel. So, so all the
I didn't realise
other top
that.
schools, have a hostel, so that it probably increases their chance of sort of bringing out some of that rural talent.
Yep.
But we boarded with a lady, Vicky, who her partner at the time was the academy manager. Yep. So we had this little downstairs unit. She was upstairs with 3 of her kids who are awesome. It was like sort of a big family, but we had our downstairs unit, and she did our washing and prepared our meals, etc.
Yeah.
But we sort of had to get ourselves to school and training on time. So it was like a real good bridge gap between leaving school and going flatting. It was sort of a halfway point. We sort of forced to grow up a little quite quickly.
Yeah, well, that, I guess, for me, that's real interesting to know that Tauranga boys didn't have a hostel, because I didn't know that. You could have been wearing a Waikato jersey if you come to Hamilton. Would have been a bit, I'd say Waikato would have been all over you and wouldn't have let you go. But cool. So we'll go back again to what your dad does with the stags and stuff. So I jumped online, had a little bit of a look, and you got a stag, Matthew. Has he still got that stag?
Nah, he doesn't now. But at the time, Matthew was a world record stag.
Yeah. So Matthew's a world record stag. For the hunters out there that are listening, is 730 SCI score, which I imagine is worth big money to the American hunting market.
Yeah. So he, like, my dad's real passion, I said it is deer, and I mean obviously you can find them for venison, velvet. Mum's sort of side of the business is deer velvet capsules, like the supplement form.
Yeah,
and that's going quite good.
Awesome.
Huge health benefits of that, and then sort of what really gets Dad excited is the genetics of deer and trying to breed massive trophy stags, and obviously he's pretty good at it too. So Matthew was one of the sort of big breakthrough stags, I suppose. A world record at the time. He's had a bigger one since. Hunter, name a Hunter last year, which I think might have been 817.
Oh wow!
SCI, which pretty much means it's 817 inches of antler.
Mass.
Yeah,
wow.
Which is big. I know a lot of hunters are interested in points, so it's sort of yeah, it's over 60 points.
Yeah.
So they're massive and pretty impressive.
Yeah.
But Hunter was a world record at the
Yeah.
time, but he got beaten last year by another stag
Okay.
by 2 inches.
Yeah, cool. So obviously your dad was breeding these stags for hunting estates within New Zealand.
Yeah.
None of them go offshore? No, they only go offshore when they're hunted, don't they?
Yeah, nah, so...
in terms of a trophy.
Yeah. Pretty much they're all overseas clients
Yep.
who come to New Zealand for a hunting experience. Probably a lot of people don't know this, but New Zealand sort of leads the way in terms of red deer and trophy stags. So pretty much if you've got New Zealanders, if you've got a decent stag here in New Zealand, it's most likely up there with some of the best in the world. So
Yeah. So with that, I understand originally your dad was breeding them for these other estates that operate within New Zealand, the North and South Island. But your dad also has his own now, is that correct?
Yep, up until probably 4 months ago.
Oh, okay.
He sold it. So there's other game parks all around New Zealand. There's other deer farmers who breed and trade genetics, etc. But there's this awesome bit of land in Ripara, about 1,000 acres of just hilly, not real nice country. Sort of half forestry, half scrub and native. So they've fenced that off and let the deer roam free in there, which was pretty cool. It's a magic spot. It's but I suppose that they had it for 7 or 8 years and built it up to what it was. But it's pretty tough going. Sort of trying to get the right people out. He's definitely got the right animals.
Yep.
But I think the guiding side of it wasn't really him. And he's just someone who's always got a few projects on the go. He's pretty flat out, so something had to give. And unfortunately it was that. But
well, because I kind of wondered, because there's a lot that goes into that. Like I listened to another podcast, Educated Hunter, and they actually have a program called Ultimate OE, so they train young hunting guides to go offshore to work in Canada and Scotland and stuff. And they talk a lot about it, and they go to all these shows and all this around the States, and it's a lot of time. And I imagine if Dad wants to watch his son play rugby, it wouldn't really fall on the best times, would it either?
No, he is have to go to the States every year. It's like I suppose like the field days here in New Zealand. You think of how big the field days are, and it's predominantly just for hunting in America. And you've got your little booth, fighting with everyone to try and get hunters to come out here. And like I said, he knows he's got the right animals, but I suppose all the marketing and the PR work that goes with it. He's a deer farmer first and foremost, and
it's very different. Cool. So you also touched on there your mum's side of the business with the deer capsules. So I want to talk a little bit about obviously your major injury that you had with your neck. Was that your secret to coming back? Was it the deer velvet?
Mum will say, yep, 100%. Yeah. And look, I 100% took more deer velvet than I normally would. It's just got it's got awesome health benefits. It improves circulation and your blood flow, and healing's all about getting the right blood to the right areas. I suppose it was at the 6-month mark of my healing where I got another scan, and it was sort of the D-Day whether my neck had healed well or whether I was going to be out for a bit longer, which would have ruled out the chance of coming back for the World Cup. So I was smashing back the deer velvet capsules, and thankfully my neck healed really strongly. And look, you will never know for sure, but I'd say it helped. I don't try and push it on people who have had injuries, but particularly like bone or anything, any healing really, we need to increase circulation. I think it helps.
Makes sense. So because for those people out there that I guess don't know a lot about deer, or I don't know heaps, but I do a bit of hunting. Their antlers are amazing. Like they drop them every year and they grow this velvet, and you'll see a stag one year that has a beautiful head. The next year, one side will be a bit funny. Guarantee you that stag's got an injury on the opposite side, and they draw the nutrients out of their deer velvet, which is effectively what Sam did. Took the nutrients out of that deer velvet and helped heal his neck. Deer do that with their own bodies. Like I've seen a deer with a funny antler and thought, oh, that one needs to get out of the gene pool and shoot him. Shot him, went over there and he had a broken leg.
Yeah.
So he'd taken that nutrients out of his antler to help heal that leg to help him survive. So.
And to think the size of their antlers and sort of when they're in their peak growing stage, they grow up to 2 centimeters a day, which is just phenomenal.
Amazing,
so there's certainly some good stuff in there.
Yeah, because a lot of people think like you just, they grow an extra point each year or whatever. They don't realize that their whole antlers drop off and then they regrow every year. It's pretty amazing. Because I want to talk a little bit more about that because I've only ever seen one other player suffer that injury in my career, and that was Sasini Anisi. And the way you came back versus the way Sauce came back, very different positions. So Sasini is a wing fullback. You're in the mixer constantly. Like you live and breathe contact. You're putting your head in all sorts of bad places. Us backs, we try and avoid those as much as possible. Sauce even more so because he's a winger and fullback. But I saw a big change in Sauce. He just lacked a lot of confidence. He used to be very powerful through contact, but no doubt that injury really affected his mental state. But I watched you come back, and it blew my mind. Like you literally looked like you'd only had like a week off, and then you were back out there. Was that through? I guess for our listeners, is that through all the preparation to get back to that point? Was it you were just that confident that you'd done everything right?
Yeah, it's through a lot of sort of baby steps and hard work and a lot of small hurdles along the way to get back to that because I had to have a neck brace on for 3 months. Couldn't take it off other than to have a quick shower, sort of. Had to sleep in it, couldn't drive. So after I got the brace off, there was another sort of 6 weeks of no exercise and just getting my range back and get moving again. So it was a long time without exercise. And during that time, I was told not to lift anything more than 3 kilos. Just give it the best chance of healing. So all these sort of things. And when you've been so careful and so precious with your body for over 4 months, the most simple thing, like my first progression to get back was to be on my knees and then fall on the ground. Yeah. And honestly, the mental hurdle of doing that after so long of being so cautious with everything you do, it was like, will I be all right falling from my knees onto the ground? Yeah, and you get past that and you're like, oh, yeah. I think my big head bobbling around on the skinny little neck. So it's just like, and I say that's a small hurdle, and then within 2 weeks later, I'm making a real low-key tackle on my knees, and it feels like, oh, well, that's progressing pretty quickly, and just keep building up like that. And it was probably a month before, 3 weeks before my first game, I was into some fairly decent contact. I got Tambai Matson, who's the Chiefs defence coach. He was outstanding with helping me. Yeah, we got some soft mats upstairs at the Chiefs. You know them. And the amount of time he spent with me one-on-one early in the morning before sessions, after making well over 1,000 tackles and clean-outs and just progressing them. All helped with getting back on the field.
Who was the cannon fire?
He was. Yeah.
Oh.
So he's actually a big man.
He is a big man.
He was a midfield back for the Crusaders and
part Fijian, is it right?
Part Fijian.
All Fijians
and
are
it's
hard to tackle.
like he'd just put his body on the line. So like I said, I'm very thankful for the hand he played in helping me get back.
Yeah, that's that was Roger Randall's role last year. And with the Chiefs, he was loving it up there with his tackle, those padded shorts and shoulder pads on.
It's brutal, man.
Yeah, and he's up. I always laugh. Roger's a bit of a hard case. I hope to get him on the podcast actually.
Yeah, he'll be awesome.
Yeah, it'll be real good to listen to. But I just laughed when I first went in and we were down doing weights and he's up the top, sweaty as, holding a ball with this tackle suit on, calling people out like, get up here and I'm going to bump you off. And
he's so well built, man.
Yeah, he is a
yeah.
man. He could motor, man, when he played. Like,
yeah,
he was. He was pretty dangerous player. I was lucky I got to play alongside him early on in my career.
And he would have been one of those guys you'd sort of grown up watching.
Oh yeah, exactly. Massive. I was a big fan.
He's got some awesome highlights, right?
Yeah. Another thing, like just on that, we'll stay on the rugby a little bit. Something that I talk to a lot of people about when it comes to you is I tell everyone that will basically listen to me that's into rugby if they're going to go watch the Chiefs or they're going to watch the All Blacks and Sam's playing is to watch you, like personally, for even if it's 5 minutes out of the whole game, just to watch the way you carry yourself and the involvements. And the way I explain it is I see you as like the master of playing in the moment. It's just task to task, like one role to the next. I don't think I've ever played with or seen somebody do it as well and as effective and as brutal as what you can at times. And I guess a big highlight that stands out for me was when I was back involved with the Chiefs last year and came over and we played the Crusaders in Suva. And I remember Sonny making this. So Sonny is Semisoni Takiaho, the hooker. He makes this big bust out break. It's 38 degrees, 99% humidity or whatever. It was horrible conditions, eh? It was not nice. It had literally, I warmed up with the team and I jumped into a swimming pool with my clothes on. It was so muggy. And Sonny makes this break, runs like 40 meters. First person there is, as always, Sam. But there's two Crusaders guys on that ball. I think it was Havili and Sevu. Both good over the ball. You just come in, boom, didn't lose your feet, stayed over it. The ball goes out, then, what happens? Someone steps back in on the carry, so Sam gets up, peels himself out of that ruck, and that's how I explain it. You literally peeled yourself up off the ground. You looked out for all money, and then you go and smash the next breakdown. It's like, is that something you're conscious of, or does it just happen?
Oh, mate, that game. Oh, I remember that game because I think that was only my second
you went
start back.
Yeah.
And, so it'd been a long time since I'd played 80 minutes and I was in those conditions. Walked in at half time and was going, oh.
Yeah. Well, Bobby left you hanging there today too, mate. He went off early.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got another 40 in me. But obviously a really memorable win because we were down by so much and we managed to get back. I don't know. I remember that game sort of breaking the last 30 minutes down into 10-minute blocks mentally in my head because that's how gassed I was.
Yeah, it's that's like a very good skill for any young players out there. Like, try and break the game down into small parts. I talk a lot about that, through, and probably a way that I've been able to stay in the game for so long is just being able to focus on what's important at that time. Like, because you can get so caught up on what's gone or thinking too far ahead, and you actually burn so much energy.
Yeah, you're bang on. Often on the field, whether it's been a try scored or whether we've had a try we've scored or they've scored or whatever's happening in the game, you're always sort of asking yourself that question in your own head, like what's important right now, what's worth talking about, what's going to be helpful for the team, and if what you're thinking of doesn't isn't the answer to those questions, then it's not really worth bringing up. Because you've only got such a short time to get a message across to the team or to communicate. You got to make sure you don't waste any words.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really important to touch on too, because I've been a captain of late, with Waikato, and a lot of people are like, what's the speeches like? These big motivational speeches or whatever, and I remember. I actually went on another podcast with a mate and we spoke about high school rugby and what those chats are like, and even club rugby, I'm back playing club rugby, a lot of club rugby now, and it's just raw passion and emotion, it's just it's so different at the professional level. And I remember when I was at first 15, we used to get all hyped up. You jump around, you pretty much like punching each other. You're that excited. The school's doing the haka when you go out, whatever it may be. And then I went and played for Waikato, and then I remember going back and playing. I played first 15 the next day actually against Tauranga boys after my debut, and the guys were like, "What was the speech like? Was it mean?" And I was just like, "That was really weird," because all we talked about was what we were going to do. There was no no one got pumped up, no one did anything. It was just like, "Oh yeah, we're going to go out here, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and let's focus on this." And I was like, "Oh, this is weird." But then we went out there and we did that, and I was like, "Oh." And I suppose at a young age, being exposed to that, then I started to become more aware of that. You don't need to get all hyped up. That emotion naturally comes because it's a competitive physical game, but just being able to focus on what's important and what your sort of next role is.
But how good are those first 15 speeches, though? Honestly, so good. We had some rippers, man, and we used to, as young men, used to just love it, eh?
Yeah.
Just hype up was all part of it. Oh, yeah. But then you're right, as you get older, it's sort of like, it's not, you shouldn't really have to rely on a speech. You're getting paid to play rugby now. You shouldn't have to rely on a speech or someone getting up 2 minutes before kickoff for you to go out and have a good game like that. That's on you to get yourself in a state.
And what I sort of explained to people, and I was actually we had a leadership meeting with my club team a couple of weeks ago, and it's like when you play on emotion, it's physically draining because it's unsustainable is probably the best way to put it, because you just go through waves because you'll get all pumped up and you just go boom, and then all of a sudden you just crash and burn, like all your energy goes and then it comes back again. But if you can be just constantly focused on what's important, then you're saving a whole heap of energy, because when you're just emotional, you're just going to run and you're just going to try and get there, but you might be 40 meters away, and there's no point in you being there, because you got to trust your teammates that there's three guys there. They're going to look after that ruck, whatever it may be. Yeah. What's your important role? I need to be set here, so we've created some space we can execute and finish over here, or whatever it may be. Yeah. But when you're just full of emotion, you lose that. Your vision narrows. You just run around. You get angry. You get pissed off, and you want to hurt somebody, which comes naturally anyway. But it's learning when those moments are there and not to, search for them all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
No, that's cool. So we'll go away from rugby a little bit now. So talking about being in the moment and emotional, you're lucky enough to go marlin fishing with Matt Watson and our mate Biggs in Afiaki.
Yeah.
How did that come about to start with, that opportunity?
I first met Matt Watson after the 2015 World Cup, and it was organised. About maybe 8 or 9 All Blacks that sort of went on. It was a show. He made it a show actually. It was North versus South All Blacks.
That,
So 2 boats, 2 days fishing. Pretty much came down to the most amount of fish per centimeters of fish caught. Then from there, because Matt Watson's actually Chiefs hard. He's a big Chiefs. He's a big Chiefs man.
Has he always been a Chiefs? Because he's from the North.
He has. Yeah. But I think from early days when Northland was included.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so he's a day one.
Yeah, he's a day one.
Oh, nice.
I think his dad is. And so that's quite cool.
Cool.
So then from there, sort of just kept in touch a little bit, got on quite well. And we've pretty much been out fishing with him almost every year since.
Cool.
He's a very generous guy. And then obviously being Afiaki, our good mate Paul, he had to retire from concussion. So, but he's probably more mad on. He's up there with you, in terms of mad on fishing. Absolutely loves it. So, I think it was his wife, Liv, got in touch. Was it either me or Matt?
Yeah.
And how much Biggs would love to get out, and Matt teed it up, and so Biggs and I drove up to Kerry one afternoon.
Yeah.
And then went out fishing on the west coast up there, I think.
Oh yeah. Did you go off Hokianga?
To be honest, I can't remember where it was.
Yeah.
It was a few years ago now.
Yeah.
It was a big day too, man.
Yeah.
It was my first time.
Yeah.
Trawling for for Marlin. I'd done it for maybe like 2 or 3 hours, but we were in for the long haul. You know, we were out there.
Yeah.
As the sun was coming up. Yeah. And we went all day.
Yeah.
With nothing, and we'd sort of been going about 10 hours by now, and I was pretty spent. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, nah, I don't think we're gonna be catching it.
Yeah.
And then
just on that, is Matt like, you know, because I do a bit of marlin fishing and I know what it's like, and I've got a heap of mates that do it professionally and stuff as well, and they're like, it's next level when you go with someone that is like into it too, eh? Like, is Matt like that? Is he super intense and I guess focused the whole day?
Yeah, real focused, and it was just like interesting how much belief he still had that we were going to catch one. So I was like, hey, we've been out for 10 hours. What makes you think we're going to catch one in the next 30 minutes? But he also has like every base covered, you know, like if they're not going to take the lure, they're going to take the soft bait, or he's got everything going. And so that, you know, at least you know, like he's got so much knowledge that he knows, if it's not going to be because of anything we do that we're not going to catch one.
Yeah,
just
because
they're not there.
They're not there.
Yeah. But sure enough, mate, we're like half an hour to go.
Yeah.
And Biggs hooks up, and it was all go. It was he had so much energy. It was just unbelievable. And
Matt did, or
Biggs was just humming. It was it was so much fun. Yeah. And you know, I've done a wee bit of fishing, but they just can't compare, eh?
Nah.
A big game fish. It was just it was all go. Matt's on the boat backing it up. Yeah. Biggs is winding it in. Striped marlin jumps out. There it is. It's just so much. Well, you know what it's like. So much energy. It was just unreal.
That 10 hours of waiting too adds to
that.
Eh?
Yeah, like, for sure. Yeah, and it just made it all worthwhile. Yeah. And to be honest, it didn't put up too much fire. I think Biggs would have had it in within about 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He got a photo.
It was a good size one too.
Yeah, it was. And I tagged it.
Yeah.
Bang.
Yeah. It's on YouTube, eh?
And then
might have to put the link to that video.
Yeah.
This podcast so people can see it because it's pretty cool.
And then we're on just such a natural high that we're just parked up out at sea, cracked open a few line reds, and had the music blasting. It was good times, man.
Yeah.
Jeez, it was awesome.
Yeah, because if you watch that video, you guys actually saw the fish first, eh? Like, did you see it?
Yeah, I think Biggs might have. Yeah, he did actually. Now you say that,
yeah, and then you just went around and threw a live bait in for it, eh? And it ate it.
Yeah, straight away.
Oh, that's so cool.
It was cool, man. Yeah. It's after you just can't compare it to any sort of other fishing, eh?
Nah. I really enjoy it. Like I tell everybody that I sort of know that fishes. Like if you enjoy fishing, then whatever aspect of fishing it may be, you have to experience catching a marlin, or not even catching one, just being on the boat, because
that's right. I didn't catch it, but on the boat, it felt like I can't imagine how Biggs felt.
Yeah. But it's I think that's a like super important thing that people need to understand, is that it's generally not. Well, it's not just the angler's fish. It's like the boat's fish, because everyone plays a part.
Yeah, they
like,
do.
You tagged it, like, you know, if you weren't there,
no, you're right.
You know,
yeah,
Biggs might not have got his photo, or you might not have got the tag into the fish because it might have done something.
Yeah, it was real surprising how Matt had to operate the boat, because the marlins like moving around so quickly and backing up and trying to give them a bit of line, and it was all go. Yeah, it was all go far out.
It's super exciting. And I guess like for me, because I'm super passionate about marlin fishing and I do a heap of it. And I was lucky enough that when I caught my first one, your good mate Carl, that we've spoken about a lot on this podcast already from your Reparar days, and early on in your chess career and stuff. He was with me when we caught that, and that was, that's anything. When you do something for the first time, it's always exciting no matter what it is. But, for someone that was keen as on fishing, and Biggs is the same.
Yeah.
And to be able to experience that is, it's like nothing else. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool experience. And the reason I like it so much...
You've had pretty good success, eh?
Yeah.
Good to get out with you, eh?
Yeah. No, definitely. It is something you'd like to do more of.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's always like a battle trying to find the time with rugby, eh?
Yeah.
But you feel like, summer we'll have heaps of opportunities, but you sort of... That's what these sort of 3 or 4 days fishing
Yep.
with Matt each year have been
Yeah,
awesome.
good,
Just like,
good stress release. Eh?
yeah.
Yeah, because it's that's the hard thing. Like the time of year sucks for
Yeah.
you guys. You know, it sucked for me.
It was
when
pretty
I
much
was
when
playing
pre-season
Super
started,
Yeah.
really, eh?
Yeah. It doesn't really, I suppose, up north it gets good early, like
Yeah.
sort of January, but
Yeah, that's
down,
when this one.
yeah, down here it doesn't, here being like the Waikato and the Coromandel, it generally doesn't get good till sort of February or March, and that's Super Rugby kicks off then.
Yeah.
So it's a bit hard to sort of get the time, but I suppose when we're old. Well, I'm old, but when you're a bit older, shit, you must be the world's like oldest 28-year-old in the rugby circles. Like you've done a lot for a 28-year-old. For marlin fishing, I just liken it so much to rugby for me. Like it's all like you said about Matt, had all bases covered. Like that's how we live our life as professional, like rugby players. Everything's all about the preparation, so that you can go out there, play or live in that moment, which is just like marlin fishing. If you go out there unprepared, it's going to happen, and then you're not going to know how to deal with it. But if you're prepared, you got your best chance of
I've never thought of it like that, but now that you say it out loud, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably...
And you'd be kicking yourself if you missed an opportunity because of a lack of preparation.
Yeah. You imagine it if you put we'll say a lure out there, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I tied that on that well, and then a marlin comes in and grabs it, gets off because you didn't tie it on well. Like that'd be like losing a game because you didn't know
the move. You
stuffed
done
the
enough
move,
homework,
and you stuffed the move up, and then you weren't in the right place, and the opposition scored, or you miss out on scoring because you weren't there. It's heartbreak. But there's plenty of heartbreak when it comes to rugby and marlin fishing. Like I've lost so many of them, eh? But yeah, it is. It's a sport. We'll stay off rugby again. Just your vinyl collection. How big is that, and how long have you been into listening to vinyls?
So it was. This might be my 3rd year of collecting. I think so. Not real long. Not a long time. I got for my 100th Chiefs game.
Yeah.
The boys chipped in and got me a record player.
Wicked.
Yeah.
That's a cool present. You've got some good presents. Your 50th.
Yeah.
Test for the All Blacks is a good one too, eh?
Yeah, I got the boys chipped in and got me a rocket coffee machine. So
good.
That gets a hiding.
Yeah.
And same with this record player. It was like a couple of things that I'd wanted but sort of hadn't forked out and bought for myself. So it was cool and things that I use all the time.
Yeah.
So I suppose had to realise that records aren't that cheap when I got it. But now that I'm about 3 years in, sort of built up a wee bit of a collection.
Yeah.
And it's quite cool when people want to, whether it's Christmas or birthday, want to friends and family. A record's always pretty safe.
Have you got any favourites? Have you got like a top 3 or 5 or?
Yeah, I've definitely got some favourites.
Yeah.
I sort of try and go for greatest hits albums a little bit because they are albums and you can't sort of just click next like you can on your phone. So I quite enjoy Tom Petty's greatest hits.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents were quite into Meatloaf growing up, so I listened to a lot of Meatloaf as well. So I've got Meatloaf Better to Hell, which is a good album.
Yeah.
And then it's pretty hard to get past Red Hot Chili's greatest hits as well. Yeah.
Got any Nirvana?
No, I don't. Which is good though. There's still I've got like a list of ones that I want to get. I sort of try and restrict myself to sort of only getting one a month roughly.
Yeah. So you can get a bit carried away.
You can get a bit carried away.
I've got a few now. There's probably more than I need. But
Right. JB Hi-Fi here in Hamilton's actually got a pretty good collection.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. You got many local artists like you try and
like Kiwi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got I've been thrashing LAB's latest album.
Yeah. Have you got all 3 of theirs?
No. I've got their last 2.
Yeah.
And I've got 660 Shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind rap as well. I've got a few rap albums, so it's like can sort of
You got
pick
Snoop
the
Dogg?
mood. Yeah, I got Snoop Dogg,
Oh yeah,
Dre,
yeah. How good.
Eminem, Biggie, yeah.
Oh, we
so,
got pretty similar music taste by the sounds of it.
yeah.
Um, cool. I do want to talk a little bit about, I guess, playing rugby here versus like overseas. Like for
Mhm.
yourself, you're 28 now. Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. So I went overseas at 26. I think I was about to be sort of 27,
Mhm.
and like I've got my own sort of views on this, like pros and cons.
Yeah.
But I just sort of, for you, main sort of drivers to stay at this stage, like because no doubt you would have had people knocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few different things. Like, although I'm 28, I still feel like I've got. I feel like I haven't reached my potential. Like I feel like I've still got a lot more to offer and a lot more I want to achieve. And at the same time, like I've worked so hard to get to the stage I am at my career, playing for the teams that I love and want to play for. And I'm not ready to sort of move away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the way I sort of view going overseas, like I'd certainly love to experience and live in another country for a couple of years. But I sort of see myself that as the sort of the last couple of years out of my playing career. I mean, if like I obviously know now how fickle a rugby career can be, and I've seen so many mates. We've seen so many mates who have had to retire from rugby. So, look, in a perfect world, if I could play to 34 or 35, I think I'd be very happy.
Yeah.
Which seems like a long way away now, but it's just the rugby landscape changed so much so quickly. So I just want to, while I'm enjoying and loving the teams I'm playing for, and like I feel like I've got a lot more to offer and areas to improve, and then I want to be here in New Zealand doing that. It's pretty much as simple as this. I know. You're, in my view too, you're sort of a long time overseas.
Yeah.
If I was to leave now, like you've come back and been able to play, but it's you often see it. It's quite rare for people to go away and then come back and get back to playing Super Rugby. So
I guess I'll talk a little bit like on that because I suppose just to share my sort of views on it and I guess a little bit on my decision to go. So I went at 26, but very different scenario than you at 26. Like I'd been playing for Waikato and the Chiefs and for I think it was 9 seasons at the time. I'd literally been driving to the same place every day, sitting in the same seat because we're creatures of habit, and I needed a change. Little did I know that Chiefs was going to get a whole new coaching staff.
Yeah.
They're going to move to Ruakura, which could have been the change, but I decided to go. But I also left at 26 knowing that if I didn't enjoy it, if it wasn't working out for me, I backed myself to come home and be at the end of a 2-year contract, be 28 and go, okay, I can push hard to get back into a Super Rugby team or come back and play for Waikato, whatever it may be. I ended up enjoying overseas, gave me heaps of awesome opportunities with getting my summers off to get into game fishing. So that was really good. And you still get paid while you get your time off. So that was all right. So that helped with the fuel bill. But the big thing that I've noticed, and this is what I've been telling a lot of people, is how well supported rugby players are here in New Zealand. Like, even through this, like for me setting up this podcast, like the NZRU and the New Zealand Players Association, Rugby Players Association have been like phenomenal. They've been so good in terms of helping me, letting me use my image rights. Like you'll hear my jingle at the start. It's got the New Zealand Māoris haka in it.
Cool.
They gave me all the blessing and approval to do that. So the support network here in New Zealand is awesome, and overseas is money's good, but you're not supported. Like you're very isolated. You're there for an experience in terms of living in another country, a different culture, and a paycheck. It's hard to be emotionally attached to the teams because you didn't grow up there. You'll get an attachment to your teammates, but that deep down burning desire to represent that team isn't there like it is for you to play for Bay of Plenty, the Chiefs, and the All Blacks. For me, that was, Chiefs and Waikato and my club team, Morrinsville Sports. So there's a burning desire there because I grew up wanting to do that. So I think for now you're sort of seeing that a lot. A lot of guys are, I guess, going younger, chasing money. But I suppose I want them to be aware that it's not, money's good, but the support that we have here is like, it's second to none. Like it's amazing how well it's supported like in this country.
Yeah, and I think I've sort of picked up that from talking to mates who have gone overseas too.
Yeah.
And sort of helps you realise, or it's helped them realise, and they've passed that on to me, I suppose, that you don't realise how good you've got it sometimes until you go away from it. Yeah. So I think our Players Association here in New Zealand's world class.
Yeah.
Led by Rob Nicol, and you know that your teams here have your best interests at heart, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, it is good. Like and and I guess you're seeing it more now. There's been a little bit of flexibility with Bowden being able to go to Japan, and Guzzler's doing a similar thing. So Brody Retallick, which is I've no drama with that because the service that those guys have given to the teams that they play for, they're not a flash in the pan All Black or Super Rugby player. Like Brody's played how many? Yeah, they're like multiple seasons, like 100+ games of Super Rugby, and then
closing
in on the same for the All Blacks. So that is a massive amount of
and
respect.
Still 28 years old. Those
I know exactly. Yeah. So for us to give 6 months to them to make some good money and have a taste of that experience, and also see how isolated it is a positive thing, because they're going to come back here and then go, shit, we do have it really good here. That was good to get that little influx of money and a different culture experience. They might go back and do it again at some other point, but they'll still realise how well supported we are here in New Zealand. And
like you talked about, the repetitiveness or the continuity of the same thing for 9 years. It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like for Bowden and Brody.
Yeah.
They're breaking up that cycle. And even as harsh as it is, this COVID thing happening and changing Super Rugby for me has been reasonably refreshing. Like, I hate to see how tough the other countries are doing. I think we're pretty fortunate to still be playing rugby, but just to have something a little bit different is actually quite energizing.
Yeah, it is. It's good, and I suppose it shows how lucky we are here in New Zealand. Like we have it pretty good. Yeah, in a lot of ways. Yeah. In a lot of ways. Cool. So I wanted to touch a little bit on this topic, and we can go into it as much as or as little as you want. We can knock it on the head. But so like All Blacks captaincy speeches, like is there very strict guidelines on what you can and can't say? Like I'm talking sort of post game, probably more so. Initial thoughts after a test match, win or lose.
I haven't done too many yet.
You've done a couple.
Yeah, I've captained the All Blacks 3 times. And every time I've sort of grown in confidence a little bit, and I'm a little bit more comfortable in my leadership style than I was the first time. And the next time.
How old were you the first time?
I was 23 at the 2015 World Cup. So it was, looking back, it caught me way off guard. I hadn't even captained the Chiefs, I don't think. It was, to be fair, it was against Namibia, and it was a short week. It was a World Cup where the short turnaround. So it was only like 4 days, which probably helped me.
Didn't have to think about it.
But man, it was a good lesson. I was so occupied on how the team was going that in hindsight I didn't actually play that well that day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, learn those things. You got to take care of yourself on the field first.
Yeah, I think that's like an important thing with, I guess, leadership. Like quite often, I know for a lot of younger players or whatever, when you do get a captaincy role or a leadership role, quite often, and I still do it now at my age, like even playing club rugby for Morrinsville, I'll get caught up and too worried about what everyone's doing because I've this wealth of knowledge in my head of knowing what the team's trying to achieve or what each position should be doing because I've played all of them. And then it's like, oh shit, like I'm actually not focusing that well on what I'm meant to be doing, and I haven't had enough of an impact at certain times or whatever it may be. So it's still just that importance of nailing your own role.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, because I know with, I guess, like the post-game speeches and that, like for Waikato and stuff, I don't know whether it's because I've been captain later in my career, but I've literally had no guideline. Like it's just, they put a microphone in your face and you just talk.
Yeah, like I don't know if there's anyone who really enjoys public speaking when it starts. It's
Yeah.
just something that you learn a little bit as you go. I find with public speaking, it's good to have a little structure in your head around like my introduction. I want to talk about these three things.
Yeah,
and then I might summarize quickly at the end.
Yeah. So do you run through that like for a post-game speech? You like?
I'll have a couple of little thoughts in my head, and then sort of see where it takes me.
Yeah, because they're pretty structured with what they ask.
Yeah.
So it's you can get a pretty good handle. Yeah, because I suppose because what I do like about the ones you do for the Chiefs is they're quite raw, and it's like you're not, I guess, shy to what's the best way to put this? You're not shy to like actually show like how you feel in terms of good or bad of what has happened. Where I feel that, like I suppose Richie and Kieran and Sam Whitelock, like they're a little bit more reserved and like quite boring. And Crusaders, they tend to be a little bit, but they're bloody good at rugby, but they tend to be not as emotional, like in terms of.
Yeah, I suppose for me, I've always found the best policy for me as an individual is to pretty much just try and be honest with how I am feeling or with my thoughts.
Yeah. And it shows, like you can see it, like just
and I feel like I make better sense when I'm being honest. Again, you're not worried about what you should or shouldn't say if you're just being honest, because it's just literally how you feel and what you're thinking. So you can choose to take it or leave it. But I find, like you said, people can see through that if I was putting on a mask and just saying things that I didn't genuinely believe.
And what I'm saying about Richie and Kieran and Sam is that they're not hiding anything. It's just that they don't show their emotion as a person. Probably they're quite reserved guys.
Yeah, I reckon. I
played with
as you're learn about leadership. You learn from all the different players you've been around. I think of Liam Messam and the way he led, and he has like a lot of passion, plays off a lot of emotion, and there's no doubt like I was drawn to some of that, and like I think you can get a good response from a lot of people by doing that. And I reckon some of the way he led and has probably rubbed off on me, and that's probably some of that side of it.
No, that's cool. Any final thoughts from you, Sam?
Nah, thanks for having me on, Swing Dog.
Nah,
it's
all good, bro.
Nice little setup here, and doing some good work.
Yeah. All right, cheers for that, bro. Thank you.
Thanks, man.